Dear friends, so much to discuss this eve. So much. First, let me welcome you. Let me thank you. Let me say, as always, thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of our thing, this thing of ours. I can't say it enough. It's so important for you to understand that we always appreciate that you are here. You could be a lot of other places in the world, but you're here. And I thank you for that. Let me also say that today was just there is so much to get out and so much to get through. We have a veritable cacophony, a litany, a seemingly endless subject matter. I have told you for the longest time that I have been an advocate, an absolute zealot when it comes to prepared food, being ready for food and water, and the ability to prepare yourself for water, and how water will be the subject of hydro-imperialism, and it will be weaponized. Check out the interim head of the WEF and the head of Nestle speak. Listen carefully. Wait a minute. Hang on a minute. Let me try it again. There we go. Hang on a minute. Wait, let me do it again. Hang on a minute. Hang on.
I've always supported the human...
Let me try it again. There we go.
Hello, I'm Peter Pravec, the chairman of Nestle. There are apparently some misconceptions about my ideas on water.
This is Nestle.
Let me make it clear from the beginning. I've always supported the human right to water. Everyone should have enough clean, safe water to meet their fundamental daily needs. About 50 to 100 liters per day. But not to fill a pool or wash a car.
Listen.
There is a difference.
Listen to this.
We must transform the way we think about water. By 2025, 1.8 billion people will be living in regions without enough water.
That's now.
Water scarcity is the greatest challenge we face today. And we need to start recognizing water as a precious resource.
You hearing this? You're listening to this right now? I hope you're listening to this. For the longest time, I was talking about this when I spoke regarding this thing called hydro-imperialism. And when I spoke about that for years ago, people thought I was crazy, as usual. So much of what I said is coming through like you can't believe. And when I mentioned hydro-imperialism, I said this is going to be the casus belli of the future. This is going to be why we will go to war. And that's why when I talk to you about preparing for food, having not only food in My Patriot Supplies and preparewithlionel.com, but to have water purification system, to have emergency generators and the like. All of this is available by paying attention to this important sponsor. Listen, this isn't a joke. Let me ask you a question. What happens when the trucks stop? Think about this. Trucks, the trucks that bring your food. And then when one store closes because of a riot or ransomware hit or a hurricane or even manufactured weather. Oh, yeah, we've talked about that. What happens when all of a suddenly the entire supply chain collapses like dominoes? What happens then? We've seen it happen, and it doesn't take much. And that's the thing you've got to think about. A trucker strike, a cyber attack, some EMP, some Carrington class disaster, a city shut down by violence. It only takes one spark for shelves to go empty fast. And when that happens, and when that moment hits, you either have what you need or you don't. And that's why I am telling you, I want you to go to preparewithlionel.com. Our trusted friends at My Patriot Supply, they're offering unbelievable deals right now. You've got to see deals on emergency food kits that could save your life and your sanity. Over 2,000 calories per day for 3 months of food per person, shelf stable for 25 years in any kind of combinations you want, and made to taste like actual meals, not cardboard, not some military MRE. These kits aren't just insurance, they're peace of mind. So go to preparewithlionel.com, secure your kit, secure your future. Preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com, because when the world breaks down, the prepared don't panic. this is one of the things which I've really been very, very proud about for the longest time, because I'm 100% correct. And I've talked about this and told people this for the longest time, that we are going to be looking at something one day that you are not going to imagine. You're not going to be able to imagine. It's not going to be something that you can put into perspective. We are, and I am, affected by two different types of people. First, there are the group of people who say things like, look, you're kind of getting bent out of shape about this. Yeah. There's things you got to worry about, but you have to understand these are things which have always been here, always been a problem, and always have been a part of our system. You're really anticipating too much. There aren't evil people. Klaus Schwab and this guy from Nestle are not evil people. You got that group. Then you've got another group of people which does more harm. And I'm not going to mention who. I'm going to keep this quiet. I saw a presentation today of an individual who was talking about things that sounded absolutely not nuts, but just made up on the spot, involving the CIA, neuronal this, I know people sometimes have been traumatized by a variety of things, but there's a group of people out there in the world who sometimes enjoy, and I'm going to say this very carefully, they enjoy the position that they have by virtue of people who all of a sudden recognize them as being examples of whatever. And they go out there and they say, you were terrific. Well, thank you very much. You were great. Well, thank you. I think next time I'm going to be even more great. And they talk about how the CIA and mind control, and they'll throw out things, paperclip, MK Ultra. They'll just throw words out. And it's not that it's impossible. It's not that they're deliberately trying to be fraudulent, because they're not. But you've got to be careful of this as well. I don't believe everybody. I know people who've said things to me that are just, it's not subject to, I don't know what the word is, but I don't know what it is. So anyway, so we have to negotiate what is going on. Today I did two, count of two. It was wonderful. It was the most beautiful day. Went out walking, grabbed the phone. I said, wait a minute. Everybody talking. Oh, found out that our good friend Carla, the cooking CEO, will be is engaged, will be betrothed in about a week, 8 days or so. So happy to hear this. She's a part of our family. And we wish her nothing but the best and obscene and wild love from now until the end of time. We appreciate that. The other thing is, I hope you saw the interview, which is very critical, the interview with Eric Thaddeus Walters, our friend. He's been a friend. He's been a member of the family since the beginning. The reaction has been unbelievable. Please make sure you watch it. And also, watch the video on red light therapy. It is unbelievable. This is one where it makes so much intuitive sense. So that little programming note. Next, as I told you before, for the longest time, I've always been, the first thing I saw, which I was absolutely amazed by, is how people didn't notice this. These are what you might call chemtrails. Now, I'm telling you, those are the wrong phrases for this. These are examples of geoengineering. Geoengineering is what is the most important. This is solar radiation management. This is carbon dioxide removal. This is stratospheric nanoparticulates. This is all it's coming out now. And how long have you known me? And how long have I said this? How long have I been telling people? Obviously, by just looking up, there it is in the it's right there. Nothing even to debate. And I remember one time being and talking to friends of mine in the television industry, weather and otherwise. I said, "When are you going to talk about this? What are you talking about?" And I said, "How?" This is when I knew something was up. I said, "How can you, a weather person, not look up and not see what is happening? How can you not see what is happening? I don't understand this. It's something, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how to explain. I don't know how to explain. Anyway, we're seeing more of this. And it is incumbent upon us to make sure that we go out and we tell the world, Mr. President, you've got some midterms coming up, and you've got to understand that in order for you to speak to undecided, independent, some Democrats themselves who might be poached, you have to, sir, make sure you set the theme. I want you to understand, create the theme that these people are crazy, and the only person who was able to save this country are the Republicans and you. How do I do this? Let me give you an example. As you know, there's a wonderful piece called Logorrhea. And Logorrhea is what we saw with Kamala. Logorrhea is this wonderful concept, this verbal incontinence. It means excessive and often incoherent talkativeness or wordiness. And it speaks of ways that are let me give you the psychological or the psychiatric review. It's very serious. The problem is the notion. Hang on. Presentation of Logorrhea. I am Chat GPT. I'm so in love with it. Mrs. L, we're finding if you haven't enjoyed Chat GPT, you're not paying attention. The psychological presentation of Logorrhea, especially when observed clinically, is more than just being talkative. It's a symptom of underlying neurological or psychiatric conditions, and it represents uncontrolled excessive flow of speech. But it's also it's inconsistent and incoherent. Sometimes rapid, maybe pressured speech, tangential, disorganized thought patterns, excessive verbal output, poor self-awareness, emotionally driven. Sometimes it's related to, frontal lobe damage, Wernicke's aphasia, temporal lobe epilepsy, schizophrenia. But in this particular case, this is someone who has adopted this because she's a confused little angry girl who is mad at the world, who hates her name, her race, her gender, her space, her citizenship. She hates everything. And for the longest time, she was suppressing this. And now she's come out of the woodwork spewing this almost logorrheic nonsense. And who is it?
We don't articulate as Black women our pain because it's almost like nobody ever gave us permission to do that.
And does anyone care?
Yeah, there's
Will
that.
they care?
If we knew, I think we would care.
As a Black
if we knew.
Mm-hmm.
If we knew.
Or, yeah, and we have to ask ourselves, the men in our lives is, why wait to be asked?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like what we go through is pretty obvious. I mean, maybe we're not complaining, but we're actually living life out loud,
Mm-hmm.
You
see what this is? Do you see what it is? What is it? What is she even remotely? What is she saying? What is she saying? It's absolute insanity. So what we need to do is to explain. This is important. To explain how we must try to build in the mindset of others as well, but build this idea of who the enemy is. And we start with people like the Nestle fellow, by the way, is going to take over for Klaus Schwab with the WEF. We put on Michelle Obama. We talk about this. And we also show the latest one. And this is something, and you're going to laugh at this. You're going to laugh when I tell you this, but I want you to see this, and it's very, very sad. Watch this. Tell me what you think this is. What do you think that is? What is this? What does this represent to you? Any idea? Take a good look. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? Now you're going to laugh at this. You're going to think to yourself, this is kind of nuts. This is kind of crazy. This is kind of nuts. What do you think this is? This is an airline. Now, what do you think? And by the by, before you think she's some poor woman who's in some emotional extremis that she is clinically insane, she's not. She's a lefty. And the reason why, and this is important, the reason why she is a lefty, that only a lefty would allow her to do this. Now, you may think I'm kidding, but I want people to understand this is precisely what's going on. This is precisely what's going on. This is the left. So consequently, it's important and critical that we let the president know, more than anything, that these people have to be front and center as the object. Mr. Rung, ladies and gentlemen, would like to say Valerie Bertinelli is 65. Judy Davis is 70. Joyce DeWitt, ladies and gentlemen, 76. She's like Blair Brown, 79. Lee Majors, 86. Love the on-the-fly lives today. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. And we're going to be doing more of that. And thank you for that. Mr. President, you need to do this. Let me tell you what else we have to do. And I think I've told you this. I think I've said it repeatedly. And I think I've said it to the point where I don't even know how to put this. I think I've said this to the point where I'm starting to sound mean. And I don't mean to be. No pun intended. I think you saw this today. Mrs. L and I were happened to be walking by Trump Tower today. I don't know when this occurred. We walk by it all the time. Did you see this?
What a fucking piece of shit, bro.
Look at this guy. So this guy is sitting there and he's saying basically arrest me or something like that. What do you think Merrick Garland would do? Look at this. What do you think Merrick Garland? Where's Pam Bondi?
What guy's doing that? Hey guys, you gotta leave. What, you gotta leave? Leave? Yeah.
He leaves.
Fine, come in, just break things.
You got to arrest him.
Don't touch him. Don't touch him. Do not touch him.
Look at this guy. Who's this guy? Don't touch him.
Are you police? Yes, I am. Name and badge number?
Watch this.
Badge number?
Get out of the way. Now this is obstruction or
What
opposition.
police force are you with?
You're interfering, by the way. This is classic. This is obstructing or opposing a police officer. This is interfering with somebody basically in the midst of arrest. And this guy thinking name and badge number. He's been watching too many YouTubes.
This is your country. This is your
Everybody's
country.
got back out.
This is
Everybody's
our
got back out.
country.
Everybody's got back out.
This is our planet. This is our country.
What does this mean?
This is our planet.
This is the incoherent, speaking of Logorrhea, that we have to make people aware of.
You cannot ruin it without comments. They are ruining the planet.
See, this is a crazy person. And everybody in the United States has to be made aware of this. They may not be watching Twitter or X or Freedom News TV. We have to let them know this.
For profit.
Which police force are you with?
And this guy too. What are you going to do? This fellow, you're going to investigate this, Barnaby Jones. What are you going to do? You're going to find out which agency this was. You're going to run through this to verify the legitimacy of the jurisdiction. What is your badge number? What is this? This, for some reason, I'm going to check this badge number, and I'm going to do what? What am I going to do? He saw the actual, this was criminal mischief, vandalism, trespass, felonious as well. That's what he should be concerned about. But no, this is who the left is. And that's why America has to be told who these people are.
How do you spell that?
It's incredible. That's Fifth Avenue right there. And this guy, now, let me see if I can explain this. Again, we have to explain to everybody constantly. This is what represents the counter to President Trump. It's that simple. Nothing beyond it. Nothing more complicated than that. This is what it is. Johnny Maz the Spaz says, an old man with a backpack wacko. That's correct. Just ask. He's not crazy. He's just asking for information. He is apparently justifying. Let's assume that, God forbid, somebody had been killed there. Would you have said, excuse me, do you have your badge number? Did you see what happened? This is who these people are. Pamela Joe, has got to act on this immediately. Merrick Garland was all over the January 6th case to the point where it was ridiculous. Merrick Garland wanted to go after Catholic families. We cannot allow this. Listen to what I'm saying. We cannot allow this anymore to miss the full faith, force, and credit of the United States government. Coming down on this guy like a ton of bricks. He needs to be taken out. This was it. We're going to call it an insurrection. Why? Same way they did. We're going to call it a seditious conspiracy. We're going to talk about it. Somehow he's interrupting or conspiring with others to, and we take him and we remove him. And I want his family to wonder, where is he? Much like the people from January 6th who were just spirited away, disappeared in the middle of the night, held almost indefinitely underground in windowless DC underground gulags. Pam Bondi has got to do this. Do you agree with me? Pam Bondi's got to act now. What are we doing? We're having these little meetings. Well, Pete Heggs at this meeting. Here's Kash Patel. Here's Don Bongino. We're having a meeting. We have little place cards. Hi, we're sitting around. You got Bobby's got, I got my red dye. We've got Marty McCary. We got to get rid of this red dye. Oh, that's important. What about the fact that our country is dying? No, they're not interested. I'm not going to get upset. But if you don't see this, my friends, I don't know what to tell you. How about Dick Durbin when he was asked about, did you see this when he was asked about the Epstein matter? Listen to this. This is U.S. Senator Dick Durbin, knows nothing about flight logs or anything really about Epstein. You be the judge.
Can I ask you a quick question? Why won't you subpoena Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs?
So who are you?
Hillary Vaughn with Fox.
With Fox, of course.
Who are you, Fox? Of course.
I don't know anything about his flight logs.
I know nothing about his flight logs. I'm the only person in the United States who knows nothing about the flight logs.
But why won't you subpoena them? Why don't you want to know?
I don't know the issue. I know who Epstein was, but I certainly don't know anything about the issue.
Well, he was charged.
I know nothing about the Epstein. I don't know anything. I know who he was. I don't know about flight logs. You want me to subpoena flight logs and information? Oh, you want me to investigate?
Charged with sex trafficking, so why don't you want to know who was utilizing his private plane?
Never been raised by anyone.
This has never been, he actually said this. This is Senator Dick Durbin. He said it's never been raised by anybody. Maybe you missed that. I want you to hear this again.
Sex trafficking, so
Listen.
Why don't you want to know who was utilizing his private plane?
Never been raised by anyone.
Senator Blackburn has wanted to subpoena them, and there hasn't been a vote in your committee.
Said a word to me, not a word.
But aren't you curious?
Not a word. Marsha Blackburn never spoke a word to him? Never?
Like what high-profile or powerful people might be closeted predators and pedophiles? Doesn't that concern you? So why won't you subpoena them if you can?
It's the first time anyone has raised it. Thank you, Fox.
This is the first time anyone has raised it. Thank you, Fox.
So are you curious about it? Will you do it?
Now, this is why I'm going to tell you, we, or whoever we are, Republicans, I'm not a Republican, but I will be if I have to be. I don't think I'm going to change parties. I think parties are a waste of time, but this is what we call these. These are, a lot of people don't consider themselves carnivores, but they really are. So we have to figure, okay, if I'm a Republican, we have to do something about this. Let me tell you, we have a friend of ours who, and Mrs. L will know who this is. It's a friend of ours, and we know this person for a long time. They're not a bad person. They're not evil, but just clueless. And when it comes to anything leftist, when it comes to Trump or whatever, they lose their minds. This is one of the best. And remember, everything that I show you has got to be shown to the American people who are, say it again, Democrats, undecided, non-voters, independents, and people who are Democrats who might want to come over. Because I don't have to go on. Last night I saw one at the studio. I saw this guy, typhoid, whatever. What is the purpose of this? Gut bucket, gut, whatever, is, makes people who already agree with him laugh. I'm not interested in that anymore. How are people going to hear this? But we have this friend who is completely smart in every aspect of the world until it comes to Trump. This was somebody who came up, and I want you to listen to this with all your heart and soul. Listen carefully, I beg you, to this piece. And this says it all. She's out. She's campaigning. I think this, in respect, this is a lunatic lefty regarding race. And she can't articulate or explicate anything that she's saying. Watch this.
Sign mean to you.
Black women are probably the least respected in America.
Now, this is a white woman. The leftist white woman is the most dangerous proponent of misinformation, disinformation, bad information that anybody's ever seen. You don't see men doing this. Oh, you saw that guy before. He says, "What's your badge number?" You're not going to think. But you never. This is the white woman who wants to argue, a la Michelle Obama, regarding the plight of the black woman. And here she is again trying to articulate trust black women. This is a march. Somebody somewhere was taking up this most important cause.
What does this sign mean to you?
Black women are probably the least respected in America. Their voices aren't heard. Their issues aren't paid attention to. Many white women look beyond their own personal interests and they leave black women out of the conversation.
Like her.
And I think America needs to change about that.
What are we not trusting them to do right now?
How to care for our country, how to care for each other.
What does that mean?
How to stand up and fight for things that aren't right.
Millions of black women voted for Trump. Should we trust them?
Ooh, I'll take your hand in mine through the...
I don't think that's true. Millions of black women voted for Trump?
Way too many.
Now,
Way too many.
Did you notice the hat? Did you notice the hat? Did you notice her hat? Do you see what kind of hat she's wearing?
It is.
Should we trust them?
Did that hat look familiar? Remember that? Remember that one? Remember that one? Remember that hat? Remember that? That particular style, that pink woolen hat, a chapeau de poussoir, a pudenda hat, indeed.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't think that's true. Millions of black women voted for Trump?
Way too many. Way too many. It is.
Should we trust them?
I I don't know.
Maybe not trust black women then.
That's not true. I do trust black women.
Who'd vote for Kamala Harris?
I think.
See?
He wants to know if I trust the black women who voted for Trump.
I think they voted against their own interests, so it's really hard to put the idea of trust together with someone who is continuing to vote against themselves, right?
So it sounds like they don't have very good judgment.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's not having good judgment. I don't think they necessarily connect the dots, and I do.
They're stupid.
No, they're not stupid, but I think it's.
No, I'm just asking because, but it is hard to trust people who are stupid and have bad judgment, right? And black women who vote for Trump are stupid and have bad judgment.
Oh, we did not say that. Nope.
Well, then they have good judgment?
They don't connect the dots, and so they're looking at
stupid.
only certain things and thinking that's important, and not connecting the dots.
It sounds like those black women need to be educated by white women like you.
Yeah, not
true. Not.
They just need a good white woman to come in and tell them what's up.
You're putting words in our mouths again, and you're trading it.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to do that.
This idea that white people are going to be the white saviors pisses me off.
But if white women like you don't educate them, how are they ever going to learn to vote the way that they're supposed to vote?
You know, as a white woman, I'm happy to help educate and talk to people, but it's not my job to go convince somebody else.
I hope you're able to get through to some of those untrustworthy, stupid black women. Good luck.
Isn't that beautiful, ladies and gentlemen? Is that not
a quick question?
Sorry about that. We've seen that one. Isn't that great? Now, let me show you something else which I saw, which is just fascinating for no other reason than just being utterly and absolutely fascinating. Are any of you fine people twins? Are you a twin? Are there any twins here? Identical twins. This was seen in Australia. This was, let me see the story, Australia. These twins. Did you see this one? Twins. This will blow your mind. This is identical twins in Queensland, Australia, after witnessing an armed carjacking incident. They were interviewed by Network 10, and they were describing what they saw. I find this to be absolutely, positively, without a doubt, one of the most fascinating things ever. And I want to share this with you right now. This was theoretically not rehearsed or forced. This was actually true as it happened. Watch and be amazed.
Witnesses are recounting some of the drama that unfolded on the Sunday.
Now, the clothing, I must say, normally twins, when they get older, they don't necessarily dress in sync once they get past a certain age, but these two are different.
Sunshine Coast this afternoon. Two sisters have told how their mother and man raced to help when the carjacked SUV rolled on Steve Irwin Way, only to find the gun-wielding car thief emerging from the wreck. Here's some of what they had to say.
Simultaneous speaking, simultaneous thinking that will blow your mind.
And one guy, he was up there with our mum, and he went up there and he was coming back down towards us, and he goes, "Run, he's got a gun." And our heart started to pound, and I said, "Oh, Mum, where's Mum?" And poor Mum was stuck up there, but apparently our brave Mum, she goes, "Are you all right?" Because he had all blood all over his face. And he goes, "I'll shoot you." She goes, "Hey, I'm here to help."
And Mum distracted him to make him look the other way, and he looked the other way, and Mum ran into the bush
behind the fence.
And
now, let me ask you a question. How many believe that this was from, ostensibly, this Channel 10, this is what's being portrayed? I can't believe that actually happened. Every indicator of me says this is nonsense. It didn't occur. But I find it fascinating. I would like to believe that that's possible. But this was being repeated. But I will tell you this much. There were a number of twin studies, which are the most important. And in psychological realms, finding twins is the most important. There was if you can find it, there was on the Tomorrow Show, these brothers, these two brothers, separated at birth. They didn't know they had a twin, but they thought so. They always felt that there was something that had yet to, that there was something missing from them. One of them was a salesman or something, and he went to some place, and I think one of the waitresses or somebody said, you know, you've got a twin. And he said, what do you mean by that? No, tell me. Where? And she said, no, take it easy. It's the expression. He goes, no. Do you look like me? He says, yes. Where? Where is he? Because he knew, this was the story, he knew that his twin mate was out there. So he goes to where this person was, I forget, the store or the shop or what have you. And when they looked at each other, when their eyes met, imagine they knew it. They had been separated and adopted separately because it's easier to place rather than twins or whatever the particular reason. And they felt this sense of eureka. The story is, it's very interesting. They went to a hotel, motel, whatever it was, and they got naked and they just looked at each other. They had wives with the same name. They liked the same rather arcane or strange or irregular aftershave. I mean, it was unbelievable. Twin studies indicated that if one twin was gay, the other twin was gay. And that means a very high component or indication that it's genetic and not merely environmental, which changes the whole calculus of that. Fascinates me to no end. The idea of the twin. And even identical twins in the same womb are not really identical because of epigenetics and other aspects we can change them just a little bit. So personally speaking, I'm not buying it, but that's the story. You can research it and you can check it out, and you can be a part of that as well. And I mean that sincerely. My friends, let me explain to you also, please check out Mrs. L's YouTube channel and her X, or I still call it Twitter, at Lynn's Warriors. On May the 6th, we have a benefit in New York City, and I want you to be a part of it. I want you to be aware of it. I want you to watch very carefully. It is an incredible event, so important, so critical, and it's to benefit the warriors. And you can go online, check out your Twitter account. I send everyone Twitter, Facebook. It's an important event. Survivors will be there. It's going to be incredible. So that's May the 6th. And of course, our flagship New York location, the Cutting Room. So that's that. Dear friends, I want to thank you. And to our dear friends today who weighed in, Brad Rung and Johnny Mazza-Spaz, thank you. I had a wonderful time today just tooling about, perambulating. I'm gonna take you through der hood in der city. And it was a lot of fun. My good friend Anthony Cumia inspired me. He was out on 57th Street at the Osborne, where Gig Young was his last moments on earth, which is very interesting as well. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do this as well. In any event, thank you, dear friends. Have a great and a glorious night. Your presence is always important. Make sure you check out the interview I did with the great Eric Thaddeus Walters, and also the latest one on red light therapy. All right, dear friends, have a great and a glorious day. We'll see you next time. And until then, remember, my friends, as we always say, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya.